to Granville, Vermont. Joshua Landis, who heads the Middle East Studies Department at Oklahoma University, his blog is called Syria Comment. Thank you for speaking with us here on France 24.
Pleasure.
So after the fall of that suburb of Damascus, the end is near, it seems, for Daraa.
Yes, it is. This is the end of the Syrian revolution. Everybody could see it coming, perhaps not as quickly as they thought, but the Syrians military has amassed a major force and has moved in with air power, everything. The United States told the rebels it was not going to back them up, that they had to fend for themselves. They've been desperately negotiating with Russians, Jordanians, to see what kind of a deal they can get. Could they keep their heavy weapons? Russia said no. Could they have a UN force to protect them? Russia said no. This is a very bleak picture for the last militias, of which there are about 56 in this region, who are each separately trying to negotiate with the Syrian military and the Russians.
And in the middle of it are the Jordanians who are brokering the talks as all these civilians come their way.
Yes, they are. Well, the Jordanians are very interested in having this finish as quickly as possible, because every day it goes on, tens of thousands of more civilians rush towards the Jordanian border. And of course, Jordan has closed that border. They cannot afford to take any more. After the big riots and demonstrations that we saw only a few weeks ago, people demanding food, jobs, less corruption, Jordan is on tenterhooks. The king is terrified that if he takes in hundreds of thousands of more Syrians, it could just overturn the monarchy.
Joshua Landis, your thoughts on the role the Russians are playing? On the one hand, bombing, on the other hand, playing proxy negotiator.
Yes, it's carrot and stick all the way. The Russians are trying to get a quick finish for this rebellion. They are offering to some guarantees of protection, that light weapons can be kept. They are trying to guarantee the people on the ground that they will be safe, that the Syrian army will not carry out any kind of, raiding their villages, arresting their people. Of course, those guarantees are very fragile. Nobody really knows who to trust here. And that's why the situation has taken so long. On the other hand, many of the militias and towns that are in the Daraa region have come to terms already. It's a town-by-town situation and militia-by-militia situation. There is no unified command on the part of the rebels, which is one reason why it's dragging on so long.
One final brief question for you, Joshua Landis. We're getting word that next Wednesday, the Israeli Prime Minister will be traveling to Moscow. Daraa, not too far from the border with Israel. The last time Benjamin Netanyahu went to Moscow, it was followed by an Israeli raid in Syria. Should Syrians be concerned by this visit?
Well, they are concerned. Israel, of course, has made the decision that Assad is better for them than the rebel chaos, and that the rebels don't stand a chance. Israel isn't going to get involved in a civil war at the last minute. It has, for 7 years, stayed out of the civil war. It has toyed with militias at its border, but it hasn't really seriously entered in, other than to bomb Hezbollah, bomb Iranian emplacements, and try to degrade Syria's military technology so that it can have a weak Syria on its border. And that's the situation it's looking for. It's trying to get the Russians to confirm that Iran and Hezbollah will stay away from its border. I don't think the Russians can give that kind of guarantee. On the other hand, Assad has every interest in not going to war against Israel. We know that for the last 40 years, Assad has kept the safest border with Israel, and which is one of the reasons why Israel has come to the decision that Assad is probably best, and that getting the Russians to guarantee his independence and trying to distance Assad from Iran is perhaps their best and only strategy. And that's what they're pursuing in Moscow today.
Joshua Landis, many thanks for joining us from Granville, Vermont.